Going. We are live.
Welcome back to Geekfecta, the podcast that brings you a few geeks' opinions on the world. We are breaking down all of Geekdom one podcast at a time. I'm Bill, and tonight we are talking about ridiculous armor that can't protect anything, big guns, wink wink, and beautiful bombshells. That's right, it's our Badass Woman episode. Joining me as always is Morph. Unfortunately, his warrior princess is missing his Gabrielle. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Also, unfortunately, the Thelma to my Louise, John could not make it tonight. So we are just doing this, the two of us, mano a mano. What are we looking for in our badass women?
Well, I kind of went with, I kind of took it as a, more as, kind of hard to describe. I went with a kind of a main character, or, well, a supporting character, a female character in one of the things that we're doing, in one of our topics. So, obviously, badass women, it must be a female. But who either had a personality to them, or even if they weren't a main character, they kind of took over. You know, like the TV show that kind of captured the screen, and you always wanted to hear more from them. In the books, it was characters, especially for comics. For me, it was women that kind of I enjoyed when they were telling stories about them. You know, they might not necessarily have been the main character, but they were a strong enough or an important enough character, developed enough to make them worthwhile.
Definitely. Mine, I really looked at like the trying to find a character that made you go, oh, okay, this is a strong woman, without having to use tropey stuff where they're, you know, you got to break down and cry first, or you have to, you know, play the part of like the huge victim the whole time, and then all of a sudden rise up, or you know,
Right.
just something where the woman was strong personality, but it wasn't done in a way that you were like, that's cheesy.
Right.
So as always, we're gonna hit movies and TV. We're gonna hit the written word, which is comics or books, and we're gonna go with board games or video games. Where do we want to start tonight?
You pick first. Where do you want to go?
Oh man,
I know.
oh, jeez. Well, I tell you what. Let's start with the written.
Okay.
Because I'm sure there'll be some superhero talk.
Yes. Let's save movies and TV shows for last.
Sounds good. So my best. So here's the deal. I know over a ton of episodes that we could do. I'm gonna come back to these books because they're by far my favorite books on the planet.
Sure.
And I'm gonna take Karen Murphy from the Dresden books.
Ooh, good choice.
Have you read those yet?
I've read the comic books. I haven't read, and I've seen the TV shows. I haven't read the novels because there's a lot of words in those and not a lot of pictures.
So, Murphy is a cop in Chicago, and she kind of backs Harry up on a bunch of different adventures, and she never seems cheesy, right?
Right.
And I think the best way to look at her is in the books. When Harry looks at something with his like true wizard sight, he sees them for what kind of inwardly they truly are. So if he looks at something horrific, he'll never be able to get that out of his mind, like it's burned in there forever. But if he looks at something great, he also gets that. And when he looked at Murphy, the passage is the door bust open. Murphy came through it. Her eyes living flames of azure blue. Her hair a golden coronet around her. She held a blazing sword in her hand, and she shone so bright and beautiful and terrifying in her anger that it was hard to see. The sight, I realized dimly, I was seeing her for who she was.
Yeah.
And that just, I mean, you read that and you're like, oh man, she's coming through like this Valkyrie angel thing, and it's impressive. So
yeah, no, and she's not in the comic books as much, especially some of the newer ones. But I do remember her from the TV show. The
Yep.
short-lived one season, I think it was only
Wow.
like 10 episodes or something.
I don't know if that even
But,
did her justice. I mean, so she's only five something. She's
right,
a martial arts. She does like Aikido and judo and stuff. So it's all about the lever, the using people's
right.
momentum and force against them. She's been able to wield multiple of the holy swords, which not many people can do. She's fought against demons and vampires and all this other stuff. And whereas Harry has all this magic and Michael was a Knight of the Cross, like she's just human. Like
Yeah,
all these things are big power, demon, fairy, whatever's, and she's just human and still goes out there like, yep, okay, it's got to be done. So
yeah.
Murphy's mine.
That is definitely a good choice. No arguments there. Mine comes from the comic book realm and will probably get some people. I probably take some people by surprise, but it's more with. It's a little bit with what she's done, and a little bit of where she's at now, and where she can go in the future. And this character is Kitty Pryde.
Okay.
Very simple character, a very simple power set, but the she has such potential in the way she can be written, and at times, like the amazing, what was it, astonishing X-Men, the Whedon run. She
Mm-hmm.
was a character that kind of she was Whedon's strong female character. Whedon loves to write the strong female character, and Kitty Pryde was perfect for what he wanted to do there. She carried the story on her back. She saved everybody by sacrificing herself, which is one of those noble things. The nobody asks you to do it; you just know you have to. That's kind of her past and why I think she's kind of a badass in that sense. But then also where she's at now, she's taken over and this is recent, like within the last year or two, because I'm that far behind in my comic books. Um, but you have the split between the X-Men. You have the people who are following Scott Summers and the people who are supposedly following Wolverine. He's the marketing. That's who they're following. But in reality, it's Kitty Pryde they're following. She's the one that takes these people and say, no, we need to rebuild this school. We're going to take these kids in. We're going to teach them how to protect themselves and how to use their powers, but they're not the front line for our defense. They are just kids. They still need to be protected. And she's she becomes the headmaster for the school. And in the comic books they give kind of Wolverine that role, but really he's all off running, doing stuff with the Avengers and running off and doing this and running off and doing that. And Kitty Pryde says, you know what, this is my thing, and she kind of takes it over. She's again her she's not the strongest person, she's not the biggest person, she's probably not even the smartest person, but she's the one that goes out and says exactly what you were saying, goes out and does what needs to be done because it needs to be done and because it's the right thing to do. And to me,
I would
that's
even say that.
yeah.
I would even say it started back at Excalibur when Claremont was writing it.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
she was the leader of that group. I mean, you could argue maybe Rachel,
Yeah,
maybe, but I mean, overall, Kitty was the one kind of holding that group together.
yeah. And,
Captain
and
Britain wasn't the brightest guy, like.
and that seems to be the trend. Whenever Kitty is written into a story, whenever she's put in somewhere, she does become that glue that holds everything together. And so I just like it. I mean, I know it's to the whim of the writers, but
Her powers, like you don't think like, okay, she can phase through things, blah blah blah.
yeah.
You don't think that's really great until she does something cool with it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, oh, I see. She grabbed him, buried him halfway to his waist, and walked away. You know, and you're like, ah,
Yeah.
that's kind of good.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Exactly. So, who do you got for your bad?
my bad. Okay. So, um, I feel bad about this one, but I'm gonna explain why. So, my worst character is Miranda. It's in the Eli Monpress books by Rachel Aaron. So here's the deal. These books overall are good. Okay. Overall, you read through this and you're like, wow, these characters are amazing. You like them. Even that character isn't that bad. The problem is, so the idea of these books are everything has a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All objects, all animals, everything. Okay. Like your coffee mug has a spirit. Okay.
Right.
Some are just dumb and silent and you can't talk to them. Some, like from a river or something, are really big and you can converse with if you have the power.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the main character, Eli, has been touched by this like goddess type woman. So he can talk to anything. Like he can talk to inanimate objects and make them do stuff that at one point he's in prison and he talks to the door, um, or talks to the hinges and is like, "Why do you always have to hold up this door?" And that's silly and blah blah blah. And eventually the hinges just go, "Okay," and let the door go, and he walks out. Um, so the whole thing leads up to there are these demons trying to get into this world, and they eat spirits and all that stuff. And the shepherdess, the one that gave him his power, is just kind of mad. She's just loony in the head. She created this other world. She's going to take Eli there because she loves him, but like crazy, like you pet a rabbit to death type love.
Right.
And this is going to be a spoiler for anyone who's going to read these books, so don't listen to me doing this. But at the end, the shepherdess is taken out, and they have to give her power to someone. And they give it, they offer it to Miranda, and she's like, "No, I don't want that." And then she's like, "No, wait, I'll take it." And what it's supposed to be is she's supposed to be the protector spirit for all these little spirits. Instead, she decides to use that power to basically negate the power in her and give it all right back to the spirits. So now in their world, like coffee mugs talk to the people drinking out of them. Like if you go to something, it has a voice. Like that's the dumbest ending to a book. And the fact that she's the one that's like, I have the solution, makes me hate her so much. That's the solution. And I know it's not the character, I get it, but she's kind of whiny through the whole thing. She's kind of like, I can do this. She's the only character in the book that you don't really like, because there are some really cool characters in there. But just the ending was so bad. And the choice that character makes you just go, oh my God, I hate you so much.
Okay.
So, look, really, you're gonna give stepping stones or cobblestones in a road voices. Like, can you imagine walking down a road and all the little cobblestones are like, "Hey, get off me! No, stop! What are you doing?" That's the worst thing ever. Or you go to eat your sandwich and it's like, "Don't eat me." Like some spirits shouldn't have been awakened, but that's my word. So.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
What's the old joke? If trees could talk, or if trees could scream, would we cut them down? And the response is, well, if they screamed all the time, like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. My worst more falls along the lines of could have been so much better, but gets lost within their own within their own story. And the character that fits this is Psylocke.
Yeah.
I love the idea of Psylocke. I like the concept that she has, but she has bounced around and her history has been changed and mutilated and twisted and turned to where it doesn't even make sense anymore. I don't know where she comes from.
She has a British brother who's white.
Yeah, but she's Japanese.
But she got turned Japanese.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, she, because they listen to that song, Turning Japanese.
Right.
It just there was so much potential in that character, and it would be fine. I mean, honestly, if they just left her one way, if they just found a history or found a story, somebody wrote a backstory for her and let it go, I think she could be a great character. I think she could be a badass woman. But every time I start to read a book with her in it, I just like I don't understand. Like they just throw something out there, some MacGuffin to move the story along, and it's like, and it always falls on to Psylocke.
Right.
Psylocke's the one that always gets stuck with that, with whatever it is, that bad plot point that just to move the story where you're just like, this doesn't make any sense.
And I think she's become that because, like, if she's in, a team thing, it's like, well, we can't do something to Wolverine. I mean, it's Wolverine.
Right.
Oh, we can't do it to Cyclops. I mean, come on.
Yep.
Well, let's do it to Psylocke because she's got that weird history that no one really knows about.
Yeah, so we'll just throw it in as well. This happened in her past too. Yeah.
Right. She doesn't remember it though because she got turned Japanese and
right. Yeah. So she has no idea what's going on. And it's frustrating. It's really frustrating because I like that character. I like this idea of a strong female samurai assassin with psychic powers. Yeah. Like just doesn't need to carry a sword around with her because she makes psychic blades out of her hands. Right. That is so cool. And she can be drawn so like just awesome.
And it has been.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Some of my best or my favorite fan art that I have is of Psylocke. I love what a lot of artists have done with her. Right. Just the stories just usually suck, and so
yeah, it was she has a convoluted backstory as Wolverine does, but they decided to try to sort Wolverines out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like literally. So I read Excalibur for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was like, do, and she shows up somewhere in there, or Captain Britain shows up, and I'm like, what? They're brother and sister?
Yeah.
But she's like Asian and he's white. Well, maybe one's adopted. And then you find out, no, something turned her.
Yeah. Right. It's like, it was actually, I think what it was that she was dying. And so they moved her subconscious to like a Japanese samurai.
Yep.
And so like, but they never really explain what happened to the consciousness that was in the Japanese.
Right.
And every once in a while, she'll have flashbacks to a time when it wasn't her in that. And it's like,
it's just they never dealt with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I almost feel like I really just want an author, and maybe I just have to do it. I want somebody to just say, okay, this is Betsy Braddock, and this is Psylocke, and this is where she comes from, and just get rid of the fact that her consciousness was moved over to a Japanese, and just go with she's adopted. She's always been a Japanese, and she could be a perfect character. She could be honestly, she could be a perfect character for Marvel to use into a movie, as if they were to maybe they even use the movie to clean up the backstory and do an origin story for her or something like that. So.
Well, I think the problem is there are some of those characters that back in the late 80s, early 90s, they had so many X titles going.
Yeah.
That all these people, I mean, for the longest time, you didn't know what the hell was going on with Cable. You didn't know what was going on with Gambit. You didn't know what was going on with, I mean, there's so many of them that you're like, what the hell's his background?
Yeah.
Or her background? And they kind of went through and did a bunch of them, and she just kind of got tossed because she was never the big name. You know? So I don't know. She was always like the supporting character.
Yep. But. Agreed. So.
Okay, so games?
Games it is. Did you do, let me guess, you did some board games?
I did not. I did a video game.
Oh, who do you got for your video
I
game?
know. Here it is. So I've been waiting for this topic, okay? Because there is really only one video game I play right now, okay? And that's
Yeah.
League of Legends. Okay, it's the
Okay.
only game I play. It's an online MOBA style game. You go 5-on-5. You choose one of the characters that you have access to, and then in game it levels.
Right.
1 through 18, and when you finish the game, you either won or lost, and then you can start another game. Choose the same character, different character, whatever. And one of my mainstay characters in League of Legends is Leona, and she's this armored chick, big shield, sword, and she has like the sun power stuff, right? And so there are different roles in this game. There's the 80 carry, which is just basically gunning people down with attack damage. There are mages that just like burst people with all sorts of spells.
Hmm.
You have assassins that get in, try to kill one person, get out. You have bruisers that are like, I can just stand here and punch you and take a bunch of damage. And then there's the support role. And the support role, you're trying to keep people alive, but also kind of lock down the other team. And there's crowd control spells that like stun or slow or
Sure.
hold people in place so someone else can kill it. And she is a CC machine. Like every one of her spells basically slows, stuns, stops. Um, if people have not played her in League of Legends or played against her, she is one of the most frustrating characters in the world because literally she can lock you up for seconds on end, and you're like, I can't do anything, and people are just killing me. Ridiculous. She closes the gap. She can she snowballs and destroys people if you play her right. And I think it's ridiculous because not tons of people play her.
Right.
Like you'll get all these other supports that people are like, oh, this is the best support, and this is the best support, and this is the best support. And then I'll play her and go like, so you have kills, deaths, and assists, and your support usually only gets assists. They don't try to get the kills. But
Hmm.
I'll finish like 5-2-28. Like it'll just be like ridiculous. My teammates will be fed, and everyone will be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot why I hate her." Like there's one of the characters that like no one plays, and all of a sudden someone plays her, and they're like, "Oh yeah." Not doing anything for 5 seconds while someone kills you sucks.
Yeah.
So I just like the look of her. Everything is like glowing, like her ultimate power. This beam of sun comes down and like locks everyone in place that it hits. She's got a sword that she like throws out, and a blade of light comes out the end of it, and then she jumps to them. So everything just looks cool on her. So that's
Nice.
my favorite badass female in a video game. I almost went Samus, but I had to go with Leona. So
Well, and it's a good thing you brought up Samus because I almost put Samus on my list, but then I had to take Samus off because when I played Metroid,
you didn't know she was a girl.
didn't know she was a girl.
Not to the end of the game.
And that was kind of the thing. It's like, it to me, yes,
Did you have
she's
to
a
type in a password
huh?
to figure as a woman too?
Uh,
Was it like Justine Bateman?
I don't know.
That was the password for something on Metroid. And I think maybe it was to get her to remove the helmet at the end.
It could have been. It could have been. I honestly I don't remember because well, one, I never actually beat any of those games because they're too long at games and ridiculously hard. I mean, they got harder and harder as they went
that's
on.
that's because you're younger than I am. And back in the day, you just sat there and played, and there was no pause. So you sat it down and just turned off the TV you were playing,
Yeah.
came back and picked it back up. And if your
Yeah.
mom turned off the game system because it was getting warm or something, you were like, "No, what are you doing? I was almost at the end. I just started all the way at the beginning."
Yeah, well, because I didn't have the original. I had, was it Metroid 2 or Super Metroid that was on the Game Boy, the original like black and white screen Game Boy. And I mean, I'd play that. I'd take that on the trips because my family traveled a ton. So I'd be sitting in the car for 10, 12 hours at a time, and I'd play that thing nonstop. And that did have saves. It had save spots. So you could go back to like I think you had to go all the way back to the ship, which really sucked. Um, but you could save it. There might have been save spots throughout the underground, but
And then
still,
the Wii was Metroid Prime, right, where they just showed you it was a girl
right.
all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think I actually own that game.
So do I.
I
It was actually fun.
it was yeah, it wasn't too
The little
bad.
chain thing to rip the shields off dudes, and
Yeah. It
it was
wasn't my
good.
favorite. Like it just didn't I don't know, it didn't fit for me. Like it just
Yeah.
didn't do what I wanted. Yeah, Metroid Prime 3. It
Yeah.
was for the Wii. It's sitting right up
Well,
here.
you didn't choose Samus, so
So
who did you choose?
I didn't choose Samus. So who I did choose was Laura Croft, Tomb
Ah,
Raider.
there you
Um,
go.
you know, in the early games, she, you know, you could tell that she started out as just cheesecake. You know, it was just get a female on there, get her real cheesecakey, so that people would just, you know, so you'd get these teenagers to buy the game. And you know, at first she wasn't as badass. But as the games went on and people decided, you know what, it doesn't really like the look doesn't really matter. It's what she does and the fact that she just takes over. You know, it's
Mm.
um, and if you've played any of the recent ones, if you played the one that came out for the 360 or the PS3 and then got like digitally remastered for the Xbox One and PS4, that game, well, one, she doesn't look like the Tomb Raider from the early days, but she is this just tough as nails, do what needs to be done, you know, risking their life, just out there on the ledge. Um, Indiana Jones, female Indiana Jones, and
With a
Indiana
pretty back.
Jones, yeah, Indiana Jones is a badass guy. So if you're gonna have a female Indiana Jones, she's got to be a badass woman. Like can't you know? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I picked Laura Croft.
Nice, nice.
But I'll go with my worst here because
Mhm.
my worst is partly the game itself and partly the character and the cheesecake factor of it, and that is Bayonetta.
I
Have
have
you?
no clue who that is.
You should just do a Google image search for Bayonetta. It is. There are well. First of all, don't do it if your daughter is sitting next to you.
Yeah, she left.
I mean, she is pure cheesecake. She wears next to nothing. It's it's a Japanese type game, just a button mashing game, but there's no, like, she has nothing to her. Like, there's no story to her. There's no background to her. She just looks like this, almost like cheesecake, like school teacher at
Yeah,
times, and you're just like, this just, it's kind of the same problem that I had, you know, like you need something to them. If they're going to be the lead character in your game, if you want them to be a badass woman, then they need to be able to be strong and stand up on their own.
right.
And that character just never seemed to do it. Like, it just didn't work for me.
Fair
Empty
enough.
shell, just
Fair
there
enough.
for looks.
So this one was harder for me, the worst, because I don't play a ton of video games, and barring the like fairies in Link in Zelda, like all the yeah, there isn't
Yeah,
really a woman that annoyed me so much in video games. And in board games, I mean, there's some magic characters and stuff, but they really don't have personalities that you get to know.
right.
So I eventually went with the worst like heroine ever for me in any freaking video game has got to be Princess Peach.
Oh yeah,
That's right, right? The first game, you spend the entire game trying to save this woman. And every time you get there, oh, your princess is in another castle, right? Then years later, you find out she can float. Like she can hop up and fly, jump out the freaking tower, get away from Bowser, and come help me out. Um,
Yeah, save me a few castles, would you?
right, right. In every Mario game, um, okay, so in every Mario game except maybe Mario Baseball on the Wii, because she kind of rocks on Mario Baseball on the Wii. She's got some nice pitching. She sucks overall, just sucks. Um, like when's the last time you picked her in Mario Kart?
Yeah,
Never,
never,
right?
never.
The answer is you don't. My
Nope.
daughter, because they always wanted to play females, would pick her all the time. And they'd be like,
Yep.
"Why are you lapping us?" I'd be like, "Because you're choosing Peach." Which isn't totally true. I mean, some of it's obviously skill. But when they stopped picking Peach, they'd still lose, but they wouldn't get lapped. like, like she doesn't offer you anything.
No, that
Like she
is
doesn't have the weight of some of the bigger characters. She's not fast like some of the other characters. It's just
yeah. It's yeah, that's just, and some of that, some of this, worst of the badass women, the non-badass women, I guess you could say, some of it is, the you could even probably chalk it up to the sexism in the in the industry,
right,
especially with Peach. It's like there's like they could have made Peach, like Toad is lightweight, but he's quick. They
right,
could have done that for Peach, but instead they just made her slower than those
right.
and made her too light. And
She could float, which was helpful in
right,
what is it, two?
yeah,
But you still like the first time you play two, you're like, wait a minute, you can fly? What the
yeah,
hell?
yeah.
Like you could
Well,
help and going to the Mario baseball, Daisy's actually better than Peach is.
yeah,
Like her power hits better and her
yeah,
power pitch is better. So like even to this day, like when we play Mario baseball, because my one daughter loves it,
yeah.
like she'll be like, I'm taking Daisy. And Peach just sits there. Like no one wants it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. And you know what? I didn't even think about that, but that is definitely a good choice.
I had to scrounge for it though.
I,
So
well, it's because you kind of even forget she's even there. It's like
right,
she's just so bad that you forget she's there. That's really bad.
right.
Yeah. I mean, even, my
And I also
worst.
think she started off as, "Oh, help, save me," so it kind of just cut her out right there. So
Yeah.
then when you put her in as like one of the heroes, you're kind of like, meh.
Yeah. Doesn't really. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Well, and that's kind of like my least or my worst for TVs and movies. Um, she is so bad that you just get annoyed by her because it's
Right.
like you can't forget that she's there. Uh, so, do we want to go bad first on TVs and movies, or do we want to go
We
good?
can. We can.
All right, let's go bad. Let's go
Okay,
bad first,
go for it.
because I like my good ones and I want to end on a good note. My bad for TVs is from a TV show. It's from The Walking Dead, and it is Lori Grimes. In the comic book, Lori Grimes is a very well written, good character, very strong, motherly character. Lori Grimes in the TV show is a whiny piece of shit that is just worrying about stuff. When there's zombies coming to eat them, she's worrying about things like, oh my, what do these people think of me?
Right.
Last time I checked, it doesn't matter if you're alive and they're alive, then you guys are on the same team because there's a whole lot of not alive things that are coming after you. So
Or a
stop
lot of
worrying.
live things that want to kill you too.
Yeah, like stop worrying about, oh, this person's mad at me or this person's, upset or uh, I don't have any makeup on. I look bad or, and just worry about surviving.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely my worst. She is whiny and complaining, and part of the reason why I stopped watching after the second season.
Dies.
Yeah, I heard that. That was good. I'm glad. She dies in the comic books too. But when
Well,
she dies in the comic books, it's sad. You know,
yeah, it's sad in this kind of too. I mean, not for the fact that she's gone, but because her son's the one that has to kill her.
uh,
Like she's giving birth
right.
and complications, and she bleeds out, and
Yep.
before she starts moving again, he has to jab her in the
So
head.
yeah, so that's how they kill her in the TV show. Because
In the
that's how you have that's what happens in the comic books as
Yep.
well.
Then they do it the
Same,
same way. So I
yeah,
mean, it's
same
sad in the sense
scene.
that you're like, dude, that's brutal. Like
Right.
having to watch your mom die and then know she's coming back and kind of
Have
take
to
her
kill
out.
her again. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, that's brutal, but I would have been just cheering that she was dying because then I wouldn't have to listen to her complain anymore.
right. So for my worst, I went into the movies. I really, 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 really wanted to give this to Barbed Wire. Like I really, really wanted to. I
Yeah.
had to go a different route, not because Barbed Wire isn't awful, not because Pamela Anderson can't act, but because Jennifer Garner is so atrocious as Elektra.
Oh God,
Like
yeah.
literally thinking about it right now, I want to punch Ben Affleck in the junk.
Yeah.
Like just, oof, I hate her so much that you get punched. Like she was so bad.
Yeah.
Like can't act. Like it
Well,
was so horrible.
and it's sad because like did you ever watch Alias on TV?
Yeah,
Like that wasn't terrible.
I'm still not. All the people are like, Alias is amazing. I was like, man,
The storytelling is good. The acting's not good. The
right,
storytelling's good. But
right.
so that makes it redeemable. But even then, like you look at it and go, okay, this person really does not play this role well, and then they go and put her as Elektra, and you're like,
So, but here's the thing with Alias, she's kind of like unsure of herself. Like that's part of
right,
the character.
right.
Elektra isn't that.
No.
That's how Garner has to play everything. Everything she plays is kind of that like, huh? What? I don't get it.
Yeah.
And Elektra isn't that.
Yeah.
Elektra gets it.
Yeah, Elektra is a badass character.
Right.
And when you
Right.
put a non-badass female as that character, it
Right.
doesn't work. Yeah.
Right. I'm unbelievably excited to finally see Elektra on Daredevil when they do that.
Yep.
Like the
Yep.
TV show, when they get to Elektra, I'm gonna be like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know? Like
It's
that show is just amazing.
yeah.
And so they're going to find someone way better than her. And it's gonna make her performance look even worse.
Yeah. Absolutely. I completely agree there. Completely agree. And it's just it's sad and it's just lost opportunity because they could have done those so much better and they didn't. And
Right.
but
Right.
maybe it's kind of good that they didn't. Otherwise, they wouldn't have. Um, uh-oh. Did I lose everything?
No?
Oh, it just
No?
paused. It had a glitch. Everything
Oh.
just froze up on me. And I've got thunderstorms here. So,
Oh, okay. Nope, I didn't.
I mean, I guess it's kind of good that they did cast her in that role and it turned out as bad as it did because otherwise we wouldn't be getting some of the stuff that we have now and
Sure.
Daredevil wouldn't be owned by Marvel again and it'd still be owned
Right.
by
Right.
whoever it is that's doing it or did it before.
Did it. Yep. Right. So I'm gonna go with my best. I'll let you finish out the best. So
Okay.
my best, this was a hard choice, man. This wasn't easy for me because I could have went with Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. I
Sure.
could have went with Summer Glau as River from Firefly and Serenity
Yeah.
and whatnot. Uh, but I decided to go old school because we know I like this movie because we've talked about it before. I gotta go Sigourney Weaver as Ripley in the Alien
Yes.
franchise. Like, you pick the movie you want, like whichever one of the Alien movies you want. But for
Yeah.
me, like Aliens, like the second, is where she takes it. Like just I am the shit. You know, in
Yeah.
the first one, yeah, it's more suspenseful. It's more almost like a old time horror movie. You know, things jump and you got one thing scurrying around. But in Aliens, when Nuke gets taken and she's like, "Nah, nah, I ain't leaving her," and
Yeah.
then goes and fights all the aliens, the queen, everything. Um, like she's just badass, and at no point does she get all whiny and like, oh, I can't do this, you know. And I have to have a pep talk. No, she's grabbing people like, no, we're doing this,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And to me, that movie holds up. Like I can still watch it to today
Yeah.
and not be like, oh, this looks old and stupid.
Yeah.
Like to this day, I'm like, oh, I could watch that again. So
Yep. No,
I'm going with
that's actually a really good choice, and I didn't even think about that character.
oh,
But
Ripley's amazing.
well, and not even just Ripley, but also Sigourney Weaver, just as
Yeah.
that person. Like she just, they're her. I mean, she's pretty badass herself. You know,
And at a time when no women were badass.
right,
You
right,
know, like there were no women doing action movies.
yeah,
Or if they were being saved.
right, yeah, yeah. And Sigourney Weaver was not being saved in anything
No.
she did.
No.
Yeah, that's a really good choice. That is a really good choice. I like that one. I went with the small screen on
Okay.
mine, and I've got two of them here for a couple different reasons. Went kind of two different directions. One is from a TV show called NCIS. Have you seen this at all?
Yeah.
Abby Shuto from NCIS. She is a forensic scientist. She does all the lab work, but her personality, she's kind of I guess you call her goth.
Gothy
Um,
punk, maybe?
yeah, but wears a spiked dog collar and, just has skull tattoos and very like, she's surrounded by this destruction and death and everything in what she does, but she embraces it. And her
She's like a
personality,
happy turkey goth though.
yeah, yeah, her personality that she has in that, and her like just every time she is on the screen, I can't change the channel. I have seen every NCIS episode at least twice. I like that show as a whole anyway, but her both the character and what now that I found out that the actor, and I didn't write down the actor's name, or actress's name, but she is awesome, and it's what she does. Like this stuff is her. She loves forensic science. Like she's into all that stuff, and it just so it just comes out in what she does, and I really like her. And the other one is again from the small screen, and is from a little show that's
Hold on one second. Her name is Polly Perriott.
yes,
So
yes,
I
and
throw that out there.
she's actually done she actually did a America's Most Wanted. She actually went on there and did some of the forensic science and forensic investigation for one of the cases in America's Most Wanted.
Wow.
Just out of like it was a case that I guess she talked to them about doing, and so they let her kind of run with it, and so it's really kind of cool. Uh, the other character that I picked out is from a little show that has been around for an extremely long time, pre World War II, and it is called Doctor Who.
Oh,
And the doctor always has to have a companion, always has to have somebody helping him out, and a lot of the companions are female, and a lot of them are strong characters, but there's only one companion that has helped the doctor out, where has actually looked at the doctor square in the face and said, "You are an idiot. I'm doing it this way, and just went and did it her way. And that was Martha Jones. She is the only companion. I've watched a lot of Doctor Who seasons and a lot of episodes. She is the only companion that I know of that I've seen them do an entire episode and actually turned it out into be like a multiple episodes just around her. She was the central character and the doctor was not, was kind of a supporting character to her. It, she is awesome. That's all there is. She is awesome.
Um, wasn't there? So I'm not a Doctor Who person, but wasn't there a Doctor Who companion that had a spin-off?
Uh,
I swear one of the early ones.
yes. And Martha Jones actually makes that. She's the one that kind of connects those together. She was in both series for a little while. Um, and it was the spinoff was called Torchwood.
No, 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 no. That's not even it though.
It's
It
not.
was no, it was like back in the day, I guess. God, I'm not a Doctor Who person, but I remember Sarah Jane Adventures. That's what it
Oh,
is.
oh, right. Yeah, she would have been
Sarah
a good choice
Jane.
too.
She was like, and I think she was the one. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot of Doctor Who, but I think she was the one where, like, the Doctor eventually finds her and is like, she tells him basically like, "Screw you! You ruined everything else in the world for me because you took me to the edges of the universe,
Yep.
and how can anything else live up to that?"
Yeah.
Um, so, but
No,
not to belittle yours. I'm just saying. I mean, I think in general, I think his companions are
they have to
for
be
the most part.
strong-willed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to be kind of badass characters. And yes, you're right. Sarah Jane, she was another one that would have been perfect for that. She was, and you know, the thing with Doctor Who that a lot of people um that people will tell you whenever you ask somebody who does watch Doctor who their favorite doctor is, it 9 times out of 10 will be the first doctor that they've watched. And
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Jane was before, like, I went back and rewatched or watched those later, but the first doctor that I watched was around the Martha Jones time. So Martha Jones kind of, that's part of the reason why she's my favorite as well, is because she kind of fits in with that doctor that was my first doctor. So
Okay.
yeah, but Sarah Jane is definitely another one too, because I've gone back and watched those episodes as well, and she actually shows up multiple times throughout different iterations of the Doctor. She still comes back.
Nice.
So yeah,
So even though people at home don't know this, we had kind of a hiatus break in amongst these.
yeah.
What do we want to do next? Usually we have it lined up ahead of time. This one they get to see through the veil a little bit, and go with us on the journey. We have a bunch of topics that are good. Man, I'm gonna say it. I am a huge Western fan. Like Westerns to me are great, but I also could easily do space or horror or
I say
world.
I say we do westerns.
Excellent, excellent.
Let's.
Then that'll wrap it up for Geekfecta this time. Next time we'll be drawing and seeing who's faster on the Western front. Hopefully, I can get past Tombstone and come up with someone that isn't Doc Holliday.
yeah.
So
Yeah, we'll and I think we'll be able to get Kip on here for that one because I believe Kip is a pretty big Western fan as well.
is he? Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So and I think he will be quick to be able to come up with some stuff for us. So
Excellent. Excellent. And there's some good ones and there are some bad ones. So it's movies. I got to be honest. This category, movies, is going to be so unbelievably hard for me. It's not even funny.
yeah.
However, every other topic is going to be easy.
I
Those are going
like
to
it.
be nailed down. But movies are going to be tough, good and bad. So
I am looking forward to it. So
awesome.
we will save that for the next time. Everybody tune in for the Geek Vice episode 9. And thanks for joining us on this one.
Take care.
See ya.